about diverse learning and talking about some strategies for diverse learners. So we're going to talk about some strategies, share some different situations, and we'll have some time for discussion breakout as well. All right, so we're going to start off this afternoon with a little brainstorming. So what we're going to do is think about your book, a book that has influenced your life. And we're going to take a moment, think about it, and then we're going to go around the room and share an example of a book that has influenced your life. That's an unfair question.
Because I believe some people will have many,
right,
and will not really be able to pick, and others may not really have one that they feel comfortable sharing. So just to get a little bit of feedback. So take a moment to think about it.
Oh,
I think Ross Bridgewell
Did you have a t-shirt?
Always want a t-shirt?
Yeah.
We do also have a visitor with us today. Kristen Goyner's mother, Mrs. Goyner, is here. She's working on her master's in counseling, so she's watching our information today that we're presenting to you guys.
I promise not to haunt any of you.
All right, I'll go ahead and start.
Oh, I thought everybody talked through the whole time. I didn't have a chance to think about it.
Oh.
Just say the name. Yeah.
That was mine.
The Handmaid's Tale.
19 minutes.
The Hobbit.
Pebble in the Sky.
I don't know the name of the book, but I know the author.
Who's your favorite author?
It's Leo, is it Buscaglia, his last name? The Power of Hugs, 3 hugs a day. I probably got the wrong name of the book, but it's probably close.
I was going to say just the author. Harry Wong's book. And I was thinking because I'm in the teaching context.
1984.
That's literally, can I answer this? Panic attack. Harry Potter, but every book I've ever read, really.
Yeah.
I can pick up here.
Let it go.
Daddy Jean. Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
I'm finding this very difficult. I'll say an author, Alan E. Foster.
Larry Jacobs, if you're in the annex, please report to the office for your ISEF meeting. Larry Jacobs,
The Red
please
Queen
come to the
by
office.
Matt Ridley.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys. All right. Okay. So I know that might seem a little random, but a lot of books influence students' lives, and there's a lot of different information that people kind of feel connected with, and bringing those connections into the classroom is really what we're going to talk about. How to create that community sense in the classroom. So the question is what is a classroom community? Students need classrooms where there's a strong sense of community and there's not the fear of ridicule. How students and if students are welcomed into the classroom really sets the tone for the entire class. So as a group, I want to just kind of brainstorm some things. You can shout out, raise your hand, either way. What do you do right now to build community in your classroom? And as we talk about this today, there's so many strategies out there, and there's so many different ways to do this. A lot of you guys are already doing so many different of the strategies that we'll talk about. But it's also a good time to kind of share, trade strategies. Anybody think of a strategy off the top of their head that they do in the classroom right now to create a sense of community? Yes.
Every time we come back from a break, I give the kids a moment to share, like every kid in the class, a highlight of their break. And it only takes, a little bit of time, and I think it makes them feel like we all care what they did.
I do the same thing, but I give them the option to try to stump us with a lie in case somebody had an awful break. Because you never know. Somebody might think my break was awful compared to everyone else's. I had to work for my mom and dad or whatever. So I always give them the option, you can try to stump us with a lie. You have to decide if it's a truth or a lie.
So the kids get to say, I don't think you did that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then
so it kind of gives them a chance to save face if they had to work for mom all break, for example. And someone else tried to decide and had to go to Disney World.
So I do group quizzes sometimes, but then I'll randomize the groups so that everyone has to work with everybody at some point in time.
All right. And I just realized that you guys might see a couple typos. This is our edited version didn't save, so pre-apologize for that. All right. Okay. So what I want you guys to do now is to break up in groups, just kind of 3 or 4 right near you, and we've got 3 discussion questions. So as a group, talk about what classroom strategies work best for you or for others in our school. What are some things that you do to build community in your classroom? So I know we've just shared some ideas. You guys will have a chance to share in your groups. And also, what ways do you reach out to families of diverse learners? So if you guys want to just break into groups of 3 or 4 and discuss these 3 questions. Okay, so we're going to discuss some of these questions. And so what we're going to do is have each group just kind of share a little bit of what you talked about. But what I wanted to also share with you is that you guys really are the experts. I know that I'm not in the classroom, so I'm really just posing the questions, and you guys really are the experts and have the tools. So really, I just want to, just clarify, we're just, kind of discussing and brainstorming different techniques as a group to really see what we can do to help our students. Okay. So, we'll start with this group right here. If you guys want to share what classroom management strategies work best for you, some of the things that you guys discussed as a group.
We discussed giving the students leadership roles, like Ms. Yulo mentioned that she assigns greeters. So, she did the same one where they would stand at the door and they would greet the students that came in, and each of the students would kind of one up the other every once in a while. Like, oh, I'm going to bring candy this week, or I'm going to bring cupcakes or whatever. And so it gave them that kind of community experience. We also talked about letting them kind of develop their own warm-up, but she found that sometimes it was time-consuming. Dr. Russell says that she wants to start including kind of some holidays so that we can bring in their background into the classroom. And then, my mind is going blank, Ms. Williams. She's bringing in announcements, so if there's any additional announcements after the announcements over the intercom, the students can mention tests, or if there's a lacrosse game or whatnot. That way it's not all on her, and it's kind of the students are telling each other about what they are interested in.
All right, this group right here, if you guys want to share, what are some of the things you do to build community in your classroom? Some of the things that you guys talked about.
I think that the things that were common to all of us were that we said that we always wanted to make ourselves human in the classroom. Sometimes students are intimidated by your content, and they feel like, it's hard for them to make mistakes. So I think one of the things that Mr. Hipsch and I talked about was that we try to make it a safe place for them to make mistakes. And as a math teacher, a lot of times students hate and because a lot of our students are perfectionists, they have a tendency to not want to try things because they think they're going to do it wrong. So one of the things that I know that I try to do is just say, well, even if your answer is wrong, let us see what you did, and if you need help with something, we can kind of help you through it. But that's what I remember.
We're all in this together.
We talked about a safe place too, like when we do a lot of presentations of, you know, where they are in their research at different stages, and talk at length about the need for it to be a safe place so that they can give and receive constructive feedback. There you go.
All right. Go right here, Kimberly. In what ways do you reach out to your families of diverse learners?
I included like economic differences in diversity, and for that, like we talked about, we have some kids who don't have internet, so they come in the mornings and they work on something, or they turn something in that they were supposed to turn in the night before, and we don't count it late. You know, just try to kind of make way for that, but also that it's a two-way street, and that we have to know of these needs. So if the student doesn't communicate, and they're like, well, I don't have internet. Like, well, you're telling me this the day after it's due. Like, you know, so it's a little bit of both, but to go along with that community, we try to leave that door open for communication. So, like, if you're having problems turning this in, you know, if there was a storm last night and your internet is down, please let me know these things. And like they were saying, we make it a safe space for that.
Awesome. Good. Anything that the remaining people want to share, add to that conversation? Because the next slides do touch on some of the strategies that are suggested. And so many of you may do these things, greeting your students. So Ms. Yulo, she talked about that idea, and then maybe even passing that off to the student to develop that sense of community and allowing them to do that. Respect, though, I think the last session we had, we talked about that, and in the Hispanic community, how that was used to help build that relationship and provide that connection, to let them know that I know about your history, I know about your culture, and to provide that sense of community. Our body language. A lot of times we don't recognize that our body language is a big communicator. And sometimes what we're saying out of our mouth does not always match what our body language is saying, and vice versa. So we want to stop right there for a moment and talk a little bit, or give a demonstration. And this is going to be the far ends of a kind of display of this body language segment here. So I'll let you begin.
Okay. You did such a good job today. You did great. You did awesome. You did so good. Oh, what a great day.
And then, you are the stupidest person in the world. My goodness, how in the world could you have made such a terrible mistake? You're so stupid. So we're rubbing them down, but and like we said, these are extremes, okay? But that's the idea of the body language. We don't necessarily always pick up on that, nor do we always, you know, pay attention to the fact that sometimes our body language speaks things other than what we're saying. Okay? And then the emotional climate. I think that you guys touched on that in terms of it being a safe place and making sure that people feel comfortable, feel secure in functioning in your space, in the classroom space. Okay, more talk, more discussion.
All right, so break into your same groups, and we've got some more questions. So how do you welcome students into your classroom? So some of you may have already answered this.
And I think we've talked a lot about the welcoming of students into your classroom, and even with all of the other ones, I think that we've, with the last session, we covered a lot of this in terms of student relationship and how that affects achievement. But just to get a little bit of feedback from you all, so from the group over here, if you could share about question 2, in what ways do you think your body language impacts teacher-student relationships?
I don't think we talked about that one.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Very good. You're role-playing.
Good example.
So you guys are covering the first one, or?
Yeah, both. We did 1 and 3, sort of.
Okay, so we'll jump to 3. Perfect. So any
We think
feedback?
it's very important. And we were mainly talked about different strategies for relationship building, whether it was the greeting or being available on Facebook or other things, and ways maybe to build that relationship. That was sort of the point of our discussion.
You can use your.
I've got way more technology here than I have.
All right.
That
Okay, who wants to jump in? Anybody? Who wants to jump in about body language? What you guys talked about in body language?
Can we talk about that also? Because we
Oh,
felt like
sure.
for some kids it didn't matter, that they're self-motivated. And we also see some kids who like are afraid of teachers and they'll get their work done because that's the dog that barks the loudest. You know, whereas they might put off. So I was very ambiguous about that one. I wasn't sure.
It kind of depends from kid to kid, because some kids, if they feel that you're warm and caring, they want to do, they want to do your work because they want to please you. But then other kids see that as a weakness of like, oh, she's nice, I don't have to do her work. I can cry and she'll probably do it. And then the mean teacher, some people are afraid of that teacher, and it's a bad thing. Like they're like, I don't want to ask questions, I don't want to go in, I don't want to do anything. And then other kids, I'm afraid of that teacher, I'm going to work extra super hard so she's never mad at me. So it just really kind of depends on the kid.
Although I sometimes think there's some of the kids where that relationship might not add to their achievement in the class, but it might add to their learning of the subject. They might still not turn in the work. Some of the kids that for us are sort of problems because they don't turn in a lot of work. But if you can keep them interested in you and your subject, maybe they'll learn something.
All right. So I am going to share some brain-friendly strategies. So you might use some of these you might hear and you're like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. So these are just some ideas. Selecting a difficult student and finding a way to really connect. So, I mean, it could be anything, whether it's music or sports. But there is research that does show that connecting with the students does help the students feel like they can engage in the classroom. Having a student as an expert. So learning what your students know and how to incorporate that into the lessons. And I heard Tiffany talking about that. She said she really likes to learn about their interests and see how she can incorporate that into the classroom. Final 5 strategy. I thought this was really interesting. So this would be students can sign up for Final 5, and they have a couple minutes to share some of their hobbies that they're experts at. So they can share at the end of class, the last 5 minutes of class on a Friday, and students can rotate and sign up for different Fridays. I thought that was really interesting. Snaps and taps. So allow students to write down compliments about other students. Put them in a bowl at the end of class.